Let's do this, let's interview the date.
And then we'll go outside and do fun
Any
things.
more questions?
The hard part will be over. All right, I'm gonna get my questions up. You're good on sound?
I'm good on Zoom.
Okay. Nicholas Crutcher, why did you decide to try retrofit?
I decided to join Retrofit because I was turning 40 and I had gained a lot of weight since the birth of my second child and had stopped going to the gym and was not feeling very good about myself. I felt like it just had kept creeping up. I had lost a lot of weight after a previous, really I'd gained a lot after the first child and sort of sympathy weight from my wife's pregnancy, and then lost it sort of on my own, but gained it all back and more, and just felt like, I don't know, I'm turning 40. I'm tired of not looking good. I want to focus on this, and then it was, I guess it was an advertisement in our company email that prompted me, and I thought, oh, maybe I should try this.
And what was it specifically about retrofit? Like, had you looked at other things, or was it just serendipitous that you got that email?
Kind of serendipitous. I had thought about Weight Watchers before. I had gone to one sort of meeting or something, and it didn't really have enough participation in the office to really get a group going. But I think I knew that I wanted something that had that support component to it, more than just, well, I also knew I didn't want a fad diet or something like that, and I didn't think that I could do it just by myself, trying to follow some guidelines. And so the idea of having the support there made a lot of sense to me, and the fact that it was all inclusive. It wasn't just diet, but diet and nutrition and behavior, all those things I think were enticed me.
What's different about you now? Is it 40 pounds?
Yeah, almost 50.
Wow.
Close.
So what's different about you versus you 50 pounds ago?
Well, I felt a lot, 50 pounds ago I was a lot heavier. It was harder to move around. My knees actually had bothered me at different times in my past. I've had knee problems, and my doctor just said you need to lose weight, and that'll make the problems go away. And really, since I've lost the weight, those haven't been bothering me, and I can be more active with my kids, tossing them up in the air and everything, and they do take a lot of energy. And I feel better about myself. I feel like I look a lot better. I'm more confident in the way I look, proud of the way I look. So I think that in general, I think my habits are better, and my self-confidence, I guess, is higher too.
In addition to the knees, are there any other health benefits that you've observed?
I think it's mostly, I haven't directly observed any health benefits, but I do feel like I'm eating healthier, and so I do think, well, I'm not sure if my cholesterol is better. I have gotten recent blood work and found that my cholesterol, everything's looking good. I think my blood pressure has come down since doing this, so that's very useful. And in general, I just felt good when I went to go for my checkup. I had sort of avoided a checkup in 2 or 3 years because I knew the one thing my doctor was going to comment on was my weight, and I felt proud kind of going back to see him again, and he said, "Whoa, you lost a lot of weight, good job," and got on the scale, and he said, "Wow, 50 pounds, that's really impressive." And I told him about how I'd also been going to the gym more often and things like that. And so I think it's sort of a general well-being, I think, has improved a lot.
What other daily life, you talked about throwing your kids up in the air and playing with your kids, what are some other things that you feel like that just make you happier in your everyday life that you feel like are different?
So the other thing that I started around the same time was biking to work much more frequently. I'd had a bike for a long time, but I got a new one right before I started Retrofit, and started commuting more, and really started enjoying getting that additional exercise in, because I have a limited amount of time in the day, and so if I can make my commute productive and bike in instead of driving, it's also environmentally friendly and all that too. But I think and this winter I'm actually going even in the rain and cold. I've got all the gear now, so I'm going, and as long as I don't have some errand to run, I'll bike in, and I enjoy that a lot.
Awesome. So what are some of the new habits you have, like aside from biking, anything else that you feel like is so different from where you were 50 pounds ago?
So the other thing is the gym habit. I had been going to a gym periodically before Retrofit. There was one near our office, and I would go maybe twice a week. And that was helpful, but I fell off after our daughter was born. I stopped going, and a year went by before starting Retrofit. And then, not that long after starting, we got a gym in our Google office, and a trainer there also. And I started going again sort of twice a week, but really enjoyed it and started seeing some results, and tried to work it in my schedule, figure out how can I make this more of a priority. And I started blocking time off on my calendar, and started going 5 days a week and do a mixture of training, workouts that they've created there that I do on my own, as well as classes that they run, and really enjoy that now. That's a big part of my week is going to the gym every day.
Can you say it again without saying Google? Because I don't think I'm allowed to say Google.
Okay. In my office, yeah. Okay. So another thing that's changed for me a lot is just how frequently I go to the gym. It used to be that I went to a gym near my office maybe twice a week. And then it fell off after our daughter was born, and I stopped going altogether. And then after Retrofit, maybe 3 months after I started, I began initially just with a lot of walking. But 3 months after I started Retrofit, we got a gym in our office, which made it super convenient, and it even have a trainer down there. And so I started going again about twice a week, and would do the workouts that they have, and then started doing the classes too, and really got into it and saw results. And I started blocking off time in my calendar to make it a priority. And so now I'm able to go 5 days a week, and I really get excited about it, and I feel like I'm really seeing the results of it. And we do assessments, and I can see that I'm able to lift more weight, or run further and things. And so it's become a source of pride for me now.
What's the number one change you've made since starting Retrofit?
The number one change since starting Retrofit would probably be keeping, I think, to 3 meals a day and 2 snacks. I think that was a kind of a revelation, that a lot of grazing I used to do before, and now I try to focus on making a productive snack. And so I think the eating habits have changed a lot. And then also focusing on exercise is another big change, really. Taking that to 5 days a week, which it's been since I was a college athlete, probably, that I was able to exercise that much, and 20 years ago.
Was it easy to start blocking time on your calendar, or is that something your coaches actually worked with you to do?
I was a little bit nervous at first about how much time whether I could actually spend an hour to an hour and a half in the gym 5 days a week and make that work with my schedule. But my coaches had me do it gradually. When I first started going to the gym, I didn't start going 5 days a week. That was actually not recommended. My coach told me, well, start slow and make sure you can get that accomplished. And I started going to twice a week, added a third day, and started really enjoying it. And as long as I took the time, at the start of the week to block off in my calendar these times, it was doable.
influence logging in your success, logging activity or your food, your meals?
I think the logging for the meals was probably the single biggest thing for the weight loss for me was staying accountable by keeping track of everything I'm eating and being honest about it. And I surprised someone else who started a weight loss program themselves. They started food logging and said they were enjoying some success from that. I said, yeah, I kept it up for a whole year, and I think that's what really was responsible for my weight loss was, if I'm going to eat something, I know I'm going to have to log it, and so I need to be honest about it.
You mentioned before you didn't think you could do it yourself or didn't want to try to do it yourself. What made you have that feeling?
I didn't think I could do it myself because I knew that I would cheat myself, and I think by having advisors that I'm accountable to that are going to be monitoring these food logs was the key element. That just by myself I would let it slip another week or something, or and by starting this program, I felt like okay, now I'm committed to it. I'm paying for it. I want to see results, and there are people checking up on me, and I'm committed, and I want to do this right.
What do people say when they see you? It's a dramatic change. What's the reaction?
It's a lot of people are shocked, particularly when I go home, which I don't get to do that often, but I went home to see my family and things, and everyone was very surprised at how much weight I've lost. Friends and things that haven't seen me in a while are always shocked and comment on it. But even my coworkers who've see me regularly, a few of them pulled me aside and said, "You really have lost a lot of weight. This is really impressive. What are you doing? How did you make that happen?" And I would tell them a little bit about it, and it's gratifying.
Camera.
Right. Okay, so let's go back to the best tip. What's the best piece of advice you received regarding mindset?
The best tip of advice I received regarding mindset would probably be, don't let a bad day, don't write it off. Don't let it. Once you've slipped a little bit, it's okay. You can still finish out the day without having gone over the top, because it's so much harder to make it back if you just write off the whole day. So that was useful for when you go to parties or other events and things, and you slip some, and you don't need to let it all slide.
How about a tip that was helpful regarding nutrition?
I think for nutrition, the snacks were the most interesting thing to me. The mixture of produce and protein was a new way of snacking for me that I hadn't really done before, and I started to find new combinations that I liked. And I didn't eat nearly as much fruit as I do now. I grew up always reaching for cookies and sugars and things, and particularly at the office they'd have candy or other things around, and I eat too much of that. But in Retrofit, I started really looking for grapes or apples or other things and mixing it with some nuts and things, and or beef jerky or something like that, and enjoyed those snacks and found that I was able to fill up without getting a ton of calories, useless calories.
Okay. And how about, you've done a lot of change on the exercise and activity front. What do you think the best tip you would share with regard to exercise or activity?
I think it's go gradually, and it worked that way for me, because when I very first started Retrofit, the advice I got was to set goals that you can attain, and not try to push yourself too hard. And so initially it was just about reaching that step goal every day, which was not out of the ordinary. Just focus a little bit on getting up from your chair and walking around a little bit. It wasn't going to the gym or any of that. And then, come 3 months in, wanted to add a little bit more. Started going to the gym 2 days a week, but nothing too strenuous or crazy. And it just gradually built and built until I had 5 days a week at the gym and lifting weights and going to classes and things. It's a progression.
How do you think about weight or your weight differently after this experience?
How do I think about my weight differently? Well, I'm more committed to keeping my weight at a healthy level. I think before I didn't monitor it as closely and just sort of let it slide. Now I get on the scale every day and just kind of keep tabs on it, make sure that things aren't creeping up, which I think is what has always happened to me in the past. And it feels good to be at this healthy weight, and I want to maintain that.
What would you say to a friend? You mentioned coworkers who ask you how you lost weight. What would you say if someone asked you if they should join Retrofit?
If someone asked me about Retrofit, I'd tell them that it really worked for me. I think that it's really important to have this logging to keep track of what you're actually doing so you're not able to cheat yourself. And the advice and support that you get from the coaches is really helpful. And I think the other thing I liked about it is that there's no like prescribed sort of fad diet. It's not about, cutting out all carbs or something, or it can work with whatever your lifestyle is and make adjustments, to it that are things that you can continue to do without feeling like you're denying yourself something.
Can you tell me a little bit about your coaches and your relationship with, was one coach really, did you bond with one coach in particular, or what? Just tell me a little bit about the coaching relationship.
So I started out with Jade, and she actually was with me the entire year. And I think maybe because she was the first, I bonded with her. I had a few other people also. So at some point, Jade moved into becoming my exercise coach, and Jennifer became my behavior coach. And I liked Jennifer as well. She was kind of no nonsense and would call me out occasionally if I was not having a great week or letting things slide a little. So that was useful. And then I had Elizabeth for a while as a nutritionist, and she had some good tips for me about good snacks or other meal suggestions, or she would look at my food log and make suggestions that I'm not getting enough produce, or also on the water too. I was never used to drinking so much water, and that was something that we worked on, trying to log how often I was getting water.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Do you have any, I always love hearing anecdotes. Do you like any stories, anything that ever,
Great.
anything that would bring you back to, something that happened in your day, something that someone might have said to you that really could trace back full circle to Retrofit, something that's happened, or just in your progression and being healthier? Sometimes you have to kind of dig down deep to think about it.
Yeah, I'm terrible at this stuff.
No, it sounds great. That's why I haven't asked anyone else this question.
So story involving Retrofit, or like through the coaches, or
Yeah,
It
like
can honestly
an
be
aha
anything.
moment you had.
Yeah, it can be anything.
Hmm.
Like you noticing that you were tossing your kids up and down.
Mhm.
Things like that. I want to hear like those stories, like that time that you realize like, oh, I'm actually being more active with my kids.
I think for me that I had been active before as an athlete and things, and so I mostly am feeling like this is a great return to being in shape. But the nutrition aspect is totally new for me. I feel like I'm eating so much more salads and really thinking a lot more about what's on my plate than I ever did before. And so I think that was one of the largest lifestyle changes for me, was focusing more on having a lot more produce. I'd always grown up with my mother's cooking a lot of meat and potatoes, and that's my favorite part of the meal, but trying to limit that a little bit more and make sure that I have enough vegetables on the plate, and then I'm eating fruit for snacks instead of candy or my kids' cheddar bunnies was a common. I ate more of those than the kids did, and so so I think being more focused on the nutrition has been a big change that I didn't have before.
Cheddar bunnies were good.
Cheddar bunnies.
I know those cheddar bunnies.
I
They're nasty. Those little
They're like I used to eat goldfish crackers, but my wife buys all organic
Cheddar
stuff,
bunnies
so
are-
they're the same thing as goldfish
cheddar
basically.
bunny. No, and then you can't have one. They're-
Yeah, they put this onion powder on it. I think that's what makes them so addictive. As the I don't know, but I just shoveled them.
Yeah, it's just handfuls.
Tons of calories. That you
What's your go-to snack now? What's your favorite snack?
I think cashews and an apple is my favorite.
What kind of apple?
Honeycrisp. We in Washington we have a lot of apples, and so I'm getting to know all the different varieties. But Honeycrisp is probably my favorite.
He lights up when he talks about Honeycrisp apples
Yeah.
and cheddar bunnies. And what's like your go-to workout? What's your favorite workout?
My favorite workout is probably one of the classes that the coach leads. She leads these metabolic classes that happen in just 45 minutes and are really intense. And I push myself very hard in them. And they'll involve rotating stations, doing some TRX stuff and dead ball slams and core work on the core and things like that. And you leave, ready to go to your next meeting and stuff, and it's all done in 45 minutes, and I like that.
You mentioned your wife lost a lot of weight too. How did that happen?
So she became interested in nutrition as well, but she focused on paleo sorts of diets and things, which didn't really agree with me. We had some disagreements during this time because she wanted to cook paleo at home. I am someone I'm kind of a foodie, and I don't really like to limit particular types of food. I do like to have bread or pasta. Just keep it in moderation, I think, is more important than, getting rid of, cutting out whole classes of food. And she did even this thing called the Whole30, which she spent, limited all sorts of different foods that could be potential allergens and things, but was very limited in what she could eat. But later, mostly she's also changed her habits a lot, and she has lost weight and done it on her own without any weight loss program. But it's been gratifying for her as well, like being able to move down to smaller dress sizes and things. It's been nice, and the whole family I think is eating more nutritious now.
I was just going to ask you that. How do you see the difference, like in terms of what the kids are eating?
I think that we're spending a lot more we're focusing a lot more now on what the kids are eating, and we're making better choices, I think, for our dinners. And my wife is learned more recipes as part of her weight loss, and making fresh vegetable soups and things that were not part of our diet before. And the kids she's finding ways to get them to eat vegetables too, because that's always one of the hard parts.
Better than cheddar bunnies.
Yes.
Can't live on cheddar bunnies alone.
No.
How did this change you? Did this change your feeling about just you as a professional and at work? Do you feel any different at work?
I think at work, mostly it's I think it's a confidence thing, sort of, that I know that other people are taking note of the fact that have changed a lot and are staying fit, and so I take some pride in that and feel a little bit more confidence, perhaps. I thought also another change was the amount of like drinking after work and things. I focused on having having certain nights every week where I would not have any drinks or any alcohol, and I think that was a source of a lot of calories prior to starting Retrofit, and that was something I worked on with Jennifer and earlier with Jade. Was, I don't know if we wanted to mention that or not, but
Yeah, like 80% of our clients drink on a regular basis. It's a huge issue.
Yeah.
And then you lose inhibition with eating.
right,
And it
right,
just
yes,
snowballs.
yes.
And then
yes.
you're drinking more and you're eating
Yeah.
more. Sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know anything
Yeah,
about it.
Right after me.
He's like, oh, that's what
Yeah, do you want to talk about that a little?
I don't know, but I don't know whether how much I'm wondering how much I want to say about that. Like, I was a total boozer. But I don't know.
Honestly, how you just said it to her just a second ago.
Yeah.
Do we need that again?
I don't
I think it's
I
fine.
think it's
Yeah, and I don't think it sounds like. It didn't sound to me like.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't sound bad, but it didn't sound like you're being safe. It sounded.
Okay.
And it's something
Normal.
truly relatable. Everybody after work,
Yeah.
have a couple drinks and go to.
Totally. I think we're in good shape. There was one other random thought. Oh, I know. I didn't ask anyone else this, but like, what felt really hard? What was something that was hard for you to change?
I think probably the hardest thing for me, and still, is when there's special events. If we have a holiday party or something like that, I really still have this aversion to limiting myself for. If there's a special thing, I want to take advantage of it, and so there's going to be pie, and there's two types of pie, but I want to taste them both, and so I have this feeling like I want to indulge a little bit and then try to make up for it, which my behavior coach would tell me is not always the best way to go about it, but I still have a little bit of trouble, like. Keeping that limited, and passing up on tasty looking food.
So would there be a strategy that you've gotten from Retrofit that helps you? Or do you just say, screw it, have everything?
There are nights when I still am like, screw it, but I feel like I do pay for it some. We just had our company holiday party, and I had dinner before going, but then they had a buffet there as well, and drinks, and I wanted to try the food there, and then the next day got on the scale and thought, well, you dug this hole, now you're gonna have to climb out of it. But I think there have been some holiday dinners. Our Thanksgiving, for instance, when I went to Thanksgiving, I avoided going back for seconds. I'd tried everything, a little bit of everything, and where in the past I might go back and indulge, I was able to have a little restraint. So I think there's progress.
Isn't it different that you stepped on the scale the next day?
Yeah, that too, right. I probably did not in the past step on the scale right after an event, and now I'm much more conscious of the effect that my previous night of eating or drinking had.